Morning everyone, Pedro speaking from our control again. I'm just trying to catch up with the chat room here. And we're just talking about the general South African history of, about the different tribes that live in the area. The Bushmen were the first people to live in this area, or they were living in the area, basically. And Captain Steve wants to know if people are still living the traditional lifestyle. Yeah, very much so. It's just, but at the stage, for the last 20, 15 years, the people are kind of mixing the lifestyle. But in the remote villages, like Dixie, for instance, and other villages around the country, the people are still living the traditional lifestyle, and the yeah, there are places where there's still, or where they are mixing the traditional lifestyle and the westernization. Which I think it's all about the technology developing almost every day. I mean, and obviously that the people living in the different parts of the country are mixing the traditional lifestyle and the westernization. Yeah. Because if the youngsters finish the matric, and then they obviously go to tertiary institutions in Johannesburg and the major cities like Durban, Cape Town. So, and they obviously learn the different lifestyles depending on the area where they are. Yeah, Captain Steve wants to know if the African people are still using the drums as a communication form, or if they've used the drumming as a communication form during my lifetime. Yes. Drumming as a communication form, blowing kudu horns as a communication form, and all sorts of things, that you can find in the bush. The wild calabashes were also used as a communication form during my lifetime, or during my childhood. And Vietela Lodge still using the drum as a communication form for the guest. If the dinner's ready, and then the chef will beat the drum just to keep them informed that the dinner's ready. So yeah, most of the lodges are still using the drum as a communication form for the guests to come for dinner. And Dixie and the other villages, Utah, Awful, Dingledale, they are still using the drums and the kudu horns as a communication form, especially when there's a gathering or there's some sort of ceremony or a party, that sort of thing, and then they're still using the drumming as a communication forms, and the kudu horn, obviously, because the sounds of the kudu horn carries for miles and miles away. Philip wants to know how old I am. I'm 33. 33 years old. Captain Steve asking if if we are still allowed to have a multiple wives. Yes. People are still allowed to have multiple wives, especially in the remote, primitive villages, and you still get people with multiple wives. So yeah, there is no restriction on that. It just depends. Now, if your first wife allows you to have another wife, surely, and you're still allowed to do so. There is, as I said, there's no restriction. There is no rules and regulations or law that says Africans are not allowed to have multiple wives. But with this new generation, this young generation, it's no longer happening. Things have changed quite a bit, because the cost of living is too high. People are getting more educated, and it's no longer happening. Yeah, but as I said, there's no strict rule. If your wife wants you to do it, you do it. You can have as many wives as you can, or as many wives as you can afford, and then yeah, it's still happening. Picking. How about a multiple husbands, Patrick? I won't comment on that, I'm afraid. But it's impossible to have a multiple husbands. Now, even the Bible says women are not allowed to have more than one husband. But a man is allowed to have more than one wife. That's what the Bible says. I think that people follow the Bible. Jack in Virginia wants to know the relationship between the Zulu and the Shangaan. The Shangaan are the descendants of Zulu. If you follow this African history, where the Shangaan people have originated, they've originated in Mozambique many years ago, about 300-400 years ago. And as I said, I'm not really a Shangaan because my dad is a Zulu, is originally from KwaZulu-Natal, but my mom is a Shangaan. And the guy by the name of Shangaan, who formed the Shangaan tribe and named it after his name, has broken away from the Zulu, from the Shaka. The Zulu were the warriors at the time, and this guy was working under Shaka's leadership, and he decided to leave Shaka, or he didn't actually leave Shaka. He actually fled to Mozambique, and he started his own tribe and named it after his name, Shangaan, speaking people. That's basically where the word or tribe Shangaan actually derived from. So yeah, we are definitely descendants of the Zulu from the Zulu warriors, the Shaka Zulu. So the languages are pretty much the same, pretty much the same dialects and everything, because we've descended from the Zulu, and so there's quite a strong relationship between the two different tribes. And the Shona speaking, the Ndebele speaking people in some parts of the country and Zimbabwe predominantly have also broken away from the Zulu warriors. But the Shangaan speaking people are not as violent and brutal as the Zulu. But I'm not talking about the present Zulu speaking people. I'm talking about the old Zulu speaking people about 300-400 years ago. As you know, that the Zulu were the warriors, and the Shaka Zulu was a prominent chief and a very, very brutal guy, and that's why the Ndebeles and the Shangans have broken away from him, because he used to send his people out to go and cook on the other tribes and confiscated the livestock and everything, and they brought back to him. So the Shaka was a different guy, and with a different history, obviously, and then he had a massive land. So he was the leader of the whole of the KwaZulu Natal at the time, before he was killed. And not many people loved Shaka at the time. So yeah, that's pretty much the relationship between the Zulu and the Shangaan speaking people. Morning everyone, Perry speaking, Final Control. I'm just checking if you guys are still seeing the pre-recorded game live stream. If you do, please send me the message on the chat room. Frogs and beads around Gari Dam. That sounds really nice. No, I didn't. I didn't go to listen at the sounds at Gari Dam. I'll go at 11:30. Sorry, 8:30, not 11:30. So I'll go on Philip. I think there must be frogs. On my way in this morning, there were lots of frogs calling all over the show, and it was such an amazing song. So yeah, frogs are pretty active at the moment after the rains. But the bullfrogs are not yet active, so they haven't broken out of the ground yet. So they need lots and lots of rain, probably about 140, 160 millimeters of rain, which is the whole place will be under the water, and a terrible thunderstorm and lightning, and that will wake them up.